I'm Greta.
And I'm Scott, and we're the board game couple, turning game night
into date night! Today, we're here to talk about a game called Mice and Mystics.
The most adorable game ever.
Uh-huh. Mice and Mystics is a fantasy co-op game designed by Jerry Hawthorne and published by Plaid Hat Games. In the game, you control characters that have been turned into mice as they try and protect the king from an evil queen. Characters will work with the mouse population inside the castle in order to try and fight against spiders, rat warriors, and even roaches. Ew. In order to try and protect the king from that evil queen.
Oh, and did I mention it's the most adorable game ever?
Yes, you did.
Because it is. As these super cute little micey figures, you travel through the castle's sewers and natural caverns, fighting off the evil creatures Scott mentioned before. This game plays a lot like a D&D adventure. Each character, good and bad, gets a turn in the fight until there's only one team left standing. And hopefully it's the good one so you can move on. The fights are determined by dice rolls, which means there's not a lot of skill and there's not a lot of strategy involved in how you fight, but it's still pretty fun nonetheless. You can also earn these achievements as you go, which will help you with certain plot lines throughout the story. But my favorite part is that you can actually earn cheese along the way. These can be turned in to activate your special powers or even to buy more special powers for your characters. Seriously, this game made me really hungry.
Another interesting feature of the game is that it comes with a storybook that encapsulates the campaign. Each chapter depicts another adventure that your characters will go on, and includes all the rules as to which characters can go on it, which villains are going to turn up, and what the objective is going to be. The game doesn't punish you for failing. It says clearly in the rules, if you make it, cool. But if you fail, cool. Move on if you want to. You do not have to accomplish everything before you can move on in the story, and that's actually pretty cool. The campaign manual adds a great layer of depth to the characters and to the plot of this admittedly cute little game.
Even he admits it. I really, really love this game. One of the features that I just think is so cool about this particular game is how robust the characters really are. Partially, I think it's because of the storybook, but also partially it's because you get to customize them and really make these characters your own. I grew really attached to my characters. Scott and I have only played this game 2-player. However, I really think I would be hesitant to play 4-player. You don't have to start the game over again to add new players. You can just shuffle around the characters. But to be honest, I wouldn't have wanted to give any of my characters up. One of my concerns about this game is replayability. It's a really long game, so there's plenty of hours of game time in the box, but once you hit the end, you sort of hit the end. You can replay it, but there's not a lot left up to chance during this game. Maybe the dice rolls, maybe which baddies come out, but the story is always going to be the same.
Right, and the tile layout is always going to be the same. Really, the randomness is just going to be what villains are in each room, then the random encounters and how well you roll the dice against them, and the items that you find when searching, because that's all random as well. So the replayability was a concern for me as well, but I think one of the deciding factors in why we decided to get this game was because there are already a ton of expansions out there. Which means, while we may have finished the story already in this particular box, there are a bunch out there waiting for us. And I don't feel like in some other games, I don't feel that the extensions and the add-ons are absolutely necessary. This game does stand alone on its own, but because I want to go back into this world, the expansions are going to be awesome for us.
One of the other cool things is the figures are really figures. They can be played from game to game, but they're sort of like awesome keepsakes, and they come unpainted, which means if you're the type of gamer who likes to paint their minis, you get a chance in this game. And to be honest, They're so cool. I've even considered using them in our real D&D campaign.
You're suddenly all mice. Wizards. Curse them. One of the things that this game reminded me of is another game that we played called Dungeons & Dragons, The Temple of Elemental Evil. I felt that this game had a lot in common with that game in terms of exploring dungeons, going out, fighting villains, and completing an objective. Even by the fact that it was all broken down into chapters. I actually, while I did enjoy Temple of Elemental Evil, I felt that this game was I enjoyed this a ton more because of the story. I was invested in the characters, I knew their personalities, whereas in Temple of Elemental Evil, there was no lines, there was no characters, there were no arcs in terms of the characters built into the book because it was just kind of up to you. It was like most games where they left the speech of the character unsaid because you as the character are supposed to say it. I actually enjoyed getting to know these characters through the story, through the game.
Yeah, and this isn't really a concern for us, but if you do have kids or are looking for games that play well with kids, this is definitely one of them. It's really easy to learn and sort of like a baby training manual for D&D.
My baby's first D&D game.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess the only thing left to say is what was our final rating? Do we feel it's a date night or a fight night?
I'm going to say date night. It's definitely going to take multiple date nights to get through it. This is not the type of game you can play in one night, unless you're planning on playing for 12 hours at a time, which is also totally legit. So it's definitely going to be an investment, but I really think it's worth it.
Yeah, while it is a game about fighting, I will still say that it is a date night. I really enjoyed every time we managed to get this to the table, every time we pulled the characters out, got re-familiar with them, dived back into this world, and made sure I was rooting for the characters the entire time, and I wanted to make sure that Colin and Nez and everybody got to the end and saved the kingdom.
You'll notice that the characters he just mentioned were the characters he played, which really goes back to the point that you really start to care about your own characters. If you liked this video, please make sure to click like.
And if you want to see more, make sure you click subscribe so that next time you can see us talk about